we'll go ahead and talk about the Cincinnati Baltimore game. That was kind of like the Kansas City Tennessee game, wasn't it? Just we expected it to be close, and then it just was an absolute total blowout. Uh,
Mm.
the Bengals made their stake to the claim for Kings of the AFC North. I think that was a big statement game. I was really surprised by the outcome. I didn't think Baltimore would lose at home this badly. I thought the Bengals might have had a chance to for a little upset, but I did not think it was going to end up like that. But
Yeah,
let's go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, that I like I said, I expected it to, or like you said, I expected it to be a lot closer, and I expected it to actually go in Baltimore's favor after their big win last week.
Yeah, I did too. I did not think that Baltimore was going to look like that coming off that big win. But Lamar 15 for 31 for 257. He had a touchdown, no interceptions. He was also the team's leading rusher with 88 yards. Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown both had 80 yards on the dot, and Marquise Hollywood Brown had the only receiving touchdown of the day. Marlon Humphrey had an interception for the Baltimore defense. For the Cincinnati side, Burrow had a monster day. 23 for 38 for 416 yards. Three touchdowns, one interception. That one was to Marlon Humphrey, like I said. Joe Mixon ran for 59 yards, and Samaje Perine had 52 yards and a touchdown. JaMarr Chase made up for damn near half of Burrow's 400 yards with 8 receptions, 201 yards, and a touchdown. CJ Uzoma had 3 receptions for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, so that was pretty efficient. T. Higgins also had 7 receptions for 62 yards. So that Cincinnati receiving core, just pass catcher core, they went nuts.
Yeah, that's nothing to
Uh,
scoff at if you're an opposing
no,
defense.
definitely not. You need to pay attention to them. They are. I don't want to say they're for real because I don't think they're. I don't think they can knock out some teams in the playoffs. But right
It's
now they're up there.
it's such a young team. It's hard to decide, like, could they knock off this team if it came down to it in January, or are they still just too young to make that push?
I think the offense would be able to carry them if they were to make it to the playoffs, but I do see their downfall would have to be the defense. They
Yeah.
shut down Baltimore. Granted, I do give them that, but they other than the Lamar 88 yards, Freeman had 14 yards, Tyson Williams had 10 yards, Le'Veon Bell had 5 yards. They shut them down, but I don't think that other teams. I mean, if you give Baltimore J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, I think this is also a completely different game.
And I was talking to a friend during the game, and he said, honestly, I think Baltimore's offense is just predictable at this point. And I said, honestly, I might have to agree with you after how Cincinnati's defense played. They really didn't play all that bad, better than we've seen the last few weeks.
Well, they don't really have a run game. I mean, they do now that everyone in that room has been there for a little bit, but they didn't really have a run game to start out the season.
That's true.
And whenever you pair that with your wide receiver one being Marquise Brown, he's good, but I mean, he's at his best whenever he's you know, dipping down the field, getting behind the secondary. So I don't know if they're necessarily predictable. I think with Lamar, you can't ever call that offense predictable because there are so many things that they can do. It's just whether or not they do it.
I think that's fair, honestly. With a quarterback like Lamar, yeah, it can't be predictable, but in certain situations, they've kind of stuck to a specific rhythm, but that also might be because of their running backs being down of injury and everything. So I don't know. I won't say completely predictable, but there are some things that's like, well, if it's this down in distance, you kind of know what they're going to do.